No.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be back up in a second or two. Yeah, it should be back up, I think. No, it's a new stream. My apologies. I screwed up.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. Don't worry. It's back up. We're live right now.
Okay, we're live now. Okay.
Yeah. There's only
Yeah.
one person who can see us because there we go. People
Oh no.
are connecting to the stream. My bad. My apologies, folks. I'm very terribly sorry. I hit the wrong button. I went to leave and I hit end stream. I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry about that. It's sometimes I complicate things, not unintentionally, very unintentionally. Trust me on that one. So we should be back up online. Just as I was leaving, now I'm really late, but that's my own darn fault. So I am
Ah.
so sorry about that. Let me just go. I'm just going to check here and make sure everything is still operational. Yeah. Okay. So we do have the live feed. We're live again. I'm so sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. I didn't mean to. But you're live, sir. I'm going to go. I'll see you later.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
everything's good. It's back up and running. We're just, I
Okay.
screwed up.
You'll
My
have a bit of an
apologies.
editing job there.
Yeah, I'll figure it out later.
Okay, I'll try to make the transition smooth for you.
My bad. I went to hit leave and I hit end. I'm like, oh shit. I hit the wrong button. I only had one cup of coffee this morning and I'm already late. So now I'm flustered. My bad. My bad.
Thank you. I needed the laugh, sir.
All right.
All
I'll
right.
endeavor to do better.
Oh, oh, Miss Grizzly, I'm so sorry. Oh, well, kids and cups. Hey, I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds to to come back and find us again. Uh, for those of you kids and cubs who are just finding us, Mr. Grizzly, as he was attempting to leave. Hold on. Actually, you know what? What I will do? I will give myself a couple of seconds of silence to help Mr. Grizzly with the edit, and then we'll start in earnest again with explaining what happened, because it's going to be very weird on the on the podcast version. So I'll just take 10 to 15, maybe 5 seconds of quiet, and then we'll pop up again, kits and cubs, and hopefully that will make it easier for Mr. Grizzly. So just bear with me here for a second. All right, kits and cubs. If you happen to be listening on podcast version, we have a little skip here because unfortunately, Mr. Grizzly had to leave, and as he was leaving, he wanted to click on leave and accidentally clicked on end stream. So for our viewers who were watching, we just kind of poof disappeared and then poof reappeared. And through the magic of editing, however, in podcasting, well, we're still here. But that's what happened. If you notice that the transition isn't actually all that smooth, but now that we're all here together, on with the show. Okay, it's hey, everything happens at the Beaver Lodge. Everything happens at the Beaver Lodge. All right, let's see. As we were mentioning, well, we were talking about Pierre um, giving these interesting press conferences, and there's a tweet that I saw from now I'm going to say it's Neo D front drummer or something. Not spelled that way, but trying to sound it out. Wrote, the imaginary pressers are my favorites, especially when he waves to the people who aren't there and doesn't actually go into the parliament buildings because he doesn't have a job there. And Dr. Fiona Matatal, like this, who is uh, asked, looking for the right word for this. What word would you use? Um, and I was trying to think of that because I like to help, and words are my life. And the only word I was able to come up with is an actual and now I'm going to um, how would I put it? Break out a $50 word, but I had to create what's called a neologism, um, which is essentially creating a new word. Uh, so I looked at the word fantasist, and it seems that that's exactly what's going on. So I would say that this type of thing is fantasism. Uh, so seems to be living in a reality or a world in which um, he believes that he is talking to people and doing things, or at least trying to create the semblance of that world. If he doesn't believe he's living in it himself, definitely wants um, the people to whom he thinks he's talking and trying to convince to believe that that is indeed the case. But yeah, he's not the leader of the opposition. There is nobody attending the press conference other than the people, it seems here, from CPAC who came to film him. You see him walking here. I don't know where he's going. I don't know to whom he waved right there. Um, and the camera just keeps filming him walking and walking and walking and walking. Another wave to whom we don't know because we don't see any people anywhere here to where he walked. Um, he's going right by the stairs to the door, and he's still walking and more walking. And then, yeah, um, where does Pierre go when the press availability is over? We don't know. We don't know. And these press availabilities are all Pierre doing and saying the same things in the exact same tone, in the exact same way he has been doing before, when I believe the objective was to show the words were growing and learning, I believe, from the party that was supposed to bring change. Right? They ran on change, and Canadians decided they want change, just not the change that they were proposing. So then they said they would grow and learn. And well, they've spent every day since the last election showing us that that's not exactly in their repertoire. And I also remember a video of PP distinctly saying that he was going to work very, 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 very hard to earn the votes of the residents of Battle River Crowfoot. I don't see any constituents of Battle River Crowfoot anywhere near that media availability. I'm not sure how he's planning to earn their trust by giving media availability to nobody with nobody there. I'm not sure how that's a winning strategy to earn the trust of the citizens of Battle River Crowfoot. I wouldn't one suspect that PP would be in Battle River Crowfoot, knocking on doors, having town halls, talking to people, doing the things that one normally would do to try to earn people's trust, especially since he's like parachuting himself in and appears to believe that just a couple of months on knocking doors will be enough to earn people's trust. Like earning people's trust usually happens over a significant period of time. Um, so I'm not sure, but I'm getting this attitude that that same taking your constituents for granted attitude that went into losing him Carlton is happening here too. It's an 82% seat, so he's going to, skippy air quotes, work to earn the trust, just not that hard or spend that much time at it. It would seem is the plan here. because I'm not, other than being in that district long enough to walk through a field and film a video where he promised that he was going to learn to grow and change, evidence of which we have not seen yet. Um, I'm not sure what he's done yet to even begin to try to earn the trust of the residents. One thing that he is doing, however, is talking a lot about what's going on in Terrebonne. Now, as you know, Kits and Cubs, there's some judicial recounts coming in. I think the one from Halton. Oh, darn, I keep on getting it wrong because there's Milton East, Halton Hills South. There's two directions in that one. I keep on wanting to say Halton East, Milton South. Milton East, Halton Hills South, by not by election, judicial recount um, did take place, and that one was not as complicated, and it did confirm the decision of the electorate that the Liberal candidate that had won indeed did win in that one. So that seat, I think, unlike Taban, because there isn't a one vote difference. The race narrowed from 21 votes to 29 votes in the judicial recount. But yes, Christina Tesser Dirksen's victory in the riding of Milton East, Halton Hill South has been confirmed by the judicial recount. She said, "It's a profound honor to be elected as your MP. Elections Canada ordered the recount last week after the vote validation process showed that Tesser Durskin won the riding over Conservative Parm Gill by a slim margin. One of the great bits of news is that Parm Gill will not be in Parliament. He is someone that really did need to go. So this is a double win. It's a win for Dirksen. It's a win for those who, well, even a triple win. It's a win for those who support the Liberals and wanted that to be the case. But it's also for a win for just people, regardless of party stripe, who just want good quality MPs in the seat. Parm Gill was not one by any stretch. So good riddance to bad garbage, sir, I will say. This is a decision that makes me happy, not because the Liberal won, but because Parm Gill is no longer in Parliament. Specifically, I just want to be clear about that. So this is not a partisan thing. This is we don't like Parm Gill. He's not the type of person that's worthy of the honor based on behavior that we have seen. So there you go. Judicial recount does not count the ballots again, including reviewing rejected ballots. A judicial recount does count the ballots again, including reviewing rejected ballots, and takes place in the presence of a judge from a superior court in the relevant province or territory. So there are still two judicial recounts outstanding, and the results in the riding of Nunavut at the time had yet to been validated. This morning they are validated. There was a blizzard that had prevented a ballot box from getting to the return office, and in Iqaluit it seems that has been counted as well, and has confirmed Laurie Idlot of the NDP as the MP for that riding. But yes, there's a judicial recount in the Newfoundland and Labrador riding of Terranova, the Peninsulas, which started prior to the one in Halton's. Oh my God, I keep on mixing. I keep on getting the name wrong. Oh my God, in Milton East, Halton Hill South, because the number of ballots that they wanted the judge to look at was over 1,000 overall. So that one will take a little bit of time. But before the recount, Liberal Anthony Germain led the Conservative Jonathan Rowe by 12 votes in that one. There was a recount also in the Ontario riding of Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore. That one is not scheduled. That one's scheduled to begin today. So and the current results show Conservative Kathy Borelli edging out incumbent Liberal Eric Kuzmerichik by 77 votes. And thank you to the Kits and Cubs, by the way, who offered the gentle correction on the pronunciation of Eric's first name, because it is spelled I-R-E-K, but it is pronounced Eric and not Irek, as I had said the first time when I talked about him a couple of days ago. So thank you for Kits and Cubs for that one. And I did know that because I remember hearing it on the election return show when I was watching it, but I had forgotten. So Thank you for the refresher. Really appreciate it. I love, by the way, pronunciation, gentle corrections. There was another one the other day. I think I was talking about um, Markham Stouffville, and I saw it written Stouff, and for some reason I was trying to pronounce the F's, incorporate the F's. And again, I knew it was Markham Stouffville because I've heard it, but I couldn't remember it. And as Mr. Grizzly says, when some people mispronounce something, it's usually because they've read it. So I was reading it. And again, the gentle correction came from the kids that it was Stouffville. And thank you very much. So please, if I do pronounce names of places and people that you know better than I do wrong, do please correct me. These are very, very welcome corrections. Again, we take the knowledge. So I thank you for the knowledge. So yeah, that's what's going on in these ones with the recounts. There's a lot of talk, of course, conspiracy theory talk when that one was confirmed. Oh yeah, there we go, another liberal thing. It's like no, it's a judicial recount in front of the judge, which confirmed the decision. Right? Let's calm down here. Right? So, but they're trying that election. Not interference, but that whole American sort of like it's rigged somehow. There seems to be a very big force that's trying to convince people of that online here in Canada with these judicial recounts. And again, it's like this, or talking about, oh yeah, well in that gerrymandered writing, it's like no, it's not. The United States, the political parties determine the boundaries here. They're not determined that way. Like this, political parties provide input, and then Elections Canada determines the boundaries. So, I mean, trying to transpose the American thing here doesn't work. And when you see it done, again, it's another situation. It's like, have you ever met Canada? Like, are you even from here? Do you even Canada, bro? Because that type of, it doesn't align with the system that we have. So you can't just do a 1-for-1, right? It's not like gluten-free baking where you get a 1-for-1 flour and you just take a cup and put it in, right? There are inherent differences. We are two different countries. We have two very different systems. So I'm not sure exactly what it is. Again, it's trying to prey on the gullible. It's trying to prey on the people who do not know their civics to try and believe them. That's why we keep on saying on the show, know your civics, because when you understand how your country works and why things are the way they are, it makes it a whole lot harder for people to pull the wool over your eyes. Because not everybody is of honest intent. Not every media respects their audience, right? So you have to, it's buyer beware on this type of stuff, right? Yeah. And that's when we talk about earning trust. It takes time. And you can blow it up very quickly. So it's not an easy job. You can't just walk in and say, trust me. I mean, you can walk in and say it, but you can't expect it. You got to earn the trust. And that's by doing the work, showing up, doing the right thing, the right way, over and over and over again, having people see you do it. Like this. And then when there's an opportunity that comes up for you to have a big gain or big growth, not just chucking that by the wayside to take advantage of the opportunity, but to go into that opportunity doing those same things with that integrity. And that's when you know you have people you can trust. Right? And even when you trust someone and they've proven that you can trust them, because there are things that can happen. Because that apply pressure that sometimes lead people to make decisions that are probably not the best ones. So even though you trust, and even though people have earned your trust, you still have to verify. So that's why we keep on saying, it's like everything we say, it's like, double check, go look, don't just take our word for it, right? Because we're happy you trust us, and we're going to keep on trying to earn your trust and show that we're worthy of it. But, it's like, even if you trust us implicitly, please trust us when we say, go check. Okay. You still need to go check. We do our best at our end, but we do make mistakes, right? And we don't get everything right. And we're not experts in every field. So always do go trust. Go trust us, but do go check. right? Hold us to account. Make sure that we did say the right thing. If we got something wrong, let us know. But yeah, absolutely. This is a big deal. We don't expect you to just take whatever we say like this and just run with it like this. But we don't get offended either that you double check us, right? We expect it. We want it. So, and that's a different attitude. So that's when, these are signs like this, but like, other types of things that people do that let you know that, whether or not you can, this is a source you can trust, right? Trust is trust and a reputation is a very big thing. I often say when it comes to reputation, your reputation is one of the only things that you own outright. A lot of people try to influence it, but you own it. It's yours like this. So, treat it very preciously. Don't start trading it off. Because it's a very long game and you want to stay into it. All right. Speaking of trust, in Alberta, the cases of the measles are really, really, really going up, and Danielle Smith is really not doing what she needs to do in order to take care of that. She really does seem to have an attitude that, kids don't really pay taxes, and they're not CEOs, and they're not going to contribute to the UCP, so screw them. Seems to be the attitude. It is very disturbing. So please, if you please, if you can get your children vaccinated, do it. There's no reason for anybody to the suffering that anybody might be having as a result of measles is, for the most part, all optional here, right? Pain is a normal part of life, but a lot of times the suffering is optional. So let's just not make it harder. And I know the government of Alberta, and Danielle Smith must have swallowed really, really hard, because when she had the UCP put out that thing telling, saying get your children immunized, but like, you do not seem to have a premier that cares very much either in Ontario or in Alberta about what's going on here with regard to public health. So these are times where you're going to have to take matters into your own hands and look outside your borders to find data and research and whatnot, and proper information, because there's no real effort of the governments of these two provinces to do the minimum that they need to do to keep their citizens safe with regard to this. So please do what you need to do. Be a good member. Be a thoughtful member of overall society. And of course, I'm not talking to people who have legitimate reasons and all that kind of stuff, but just those who would have done it, should have done it, but haven't done it yet. Whatever. Just it's important. It's time to make time for this type of thing. So please do what you need to do to keep safe. That's very, very important. I'm sorry here. The chat things are going just a little crazy here. But there we go. We've got that under control. There's something I wanted to read with regards to that. There's a good piece that came out a while ago, and it's from Shannon Proudfoot, and it's a couple dated. It's dated. It's was published on April 5th. But I thought it was really well written, and I've been trying to find a way to bring it into the show. And since we're talking about Danielle a little bit with regard to measles, and then all the other stuff that she's doing, right, with the sovereignty stuff and showing some leg while pretending that she's not showing leg, and then there's even more stuff like. With the whole AHS stuff, we found that Mickey Amory is somewhat related to someone in there. Involved in that. Well, we also found out over the course of the weekend that there are even more ties between the UCP government and the people here who are at the heart of this whole debacle for all intents and purposes. I don't know what other word we can use to describe it at all. Um, but yeah, it would seem that there is a person within the UCP. Well, sorry, not a person within the UCP. Sorry, let me admit. There was someone within Daniel Smith's office who was living in a $1.6 million home that was owned by the sister of the key player in all of this. Whether it's the Tylenol thing, whether it's the box seats, whether it's the AHS, it all seems to lead back to this one particular person. And it seems so the former chief of staff was living in a home owned by the sister of this person. So this here, Kits and Cubs, is from the Globe and Mail, and then we'll get to the Shannon Proudfoot piece. But these things here are accumulating for Danielle. So according to Carrie Tate, who has been doing some exceptionally good journalism here. Kudos to her. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, former chief of staff, lived in a $1.6 million Edmonton home owned by the sister of Sam Raish, a businessman whose dealings with the provincial health authority are subject to multiple investigations. Marshall Smith, no relation to the premier, who served as the premier's chief of staff between October 2022 and October 2024, lived at the property not far from the University of Alberta after it was purchased by Mr. Mraish's sister, Fatima Mraish, in August 2023. Mr. Mraish and Mr. Smith are key figures in the political interference allegations made earlier this year by Athana Metsalopoulos, the former chief executive officer of Alberta Health Services. Ms. Metsalopoulos alleges in a wrongful dismissal lawsuit that Mr. Smith placed pressure on her to take action that would benefit private companies, including those in which Mr. Mraish had a financial interest. She was fired in January by the province, which also dissolved the entire board of the health authority 3 weeks later. The Premier has made reforming the province's healthcare system a key priority. That work has involved overhauling Alberta's provincial health authority by breaking it apart into 4 agencies as the government seeks to reduce wait times by expanding the use of private contractors. Ms. Smith and her government have also made several changes to Alberta Health Services senior leadership, cycling through several executives and board members. The fact that Mr. Smith lived in a home owned by Mr. Mraish's sibling may raise questions for investigators examining Ms. Metsalopoulos' allegations. Those separate probes are being conducted by Alberta's Auditor General, the RCMP, and retired Manitoba Judge Raymond Wyant, who was appointed by the province. The government, in its statement of defense to the wrongful dismissal lawsuit, alleges Ms. Metsalopoulos was fired for incompetence. The allegations have not been tested in court. And there's a link to the statement of defense, which once the show is over, I'm going to take some time to go read because, Kids and Cubs, if you remember, when the statement from Ms. Metsalopoulos came out, we took some time to actually read it, do a special show where we just read it into the record because we thought that, well, maybe if people don't want to do the reading themselves, they would still like to know what was going on and would like to hear what Ms. Metsalopoulos said in her statement of claim. And because we like to help, we did an audiobook version of it with a little commentary on the way. So who knows? Maybe we will have another one with the statement of defense, because I'm sure. I shouldn't say I'm sure. I highly suspect that it contains a few doozies. Moving on. Miss Smith, when asked about his living arrangements and Miss Metsalopoulos' allegation, said through a lawyer that he plans to sue her and the Globe and Mail. Sorry, Mr. Smith. So yes. Okay. The lawyer, Philip Prowse, sent a draft lawsuit to the Globe alleging Ms. Metsalopoulos' legal filings and a Globe story published February 5th on allegations she made previously are false and defamatory. The lawsuit filed in court on Wednesday alleges Ms. Metsalopoulos has, quote, mischaracterized, cherry-picked, and taking out of context her conversations with Mr. Smith. In a letter to the Globe, Mr. Prowse confirmed Mr. Smith lived at Fatima Mreish's property. Mr. Prowse said, quote, "The landlords for this property were appropriately compensated for its use." Okay. He declined to answer other questions about Mr. Smith's tenancy, including how much he paid in rent. Neither Mr. Mreish lawyer or Neither Mr. Mreish's lawyers nor Fatima Mreish responded to requests for comment. Hmm. In a statement, one of Mr. Mreish's companies, MH Care Medical Corp, said in a statement that Mr. Mreish and Mr. Smith were not, quote, particularly close. The company's 9-page letter was issued to address Ms. Menzelopoulos' allegations and clarify its relationship with the government. For those listening in podcast, that pause was me swallowing hard because I found that statement hard to believe. If I needed a moment. Quote, "The unspectacular truth is that Mr. Mesh's interactions with government, those in elective office and senior staff, fit entirely within the established parameters of typical government relations for the CEO of a commercial entity," the unsigned letter says. And that is why all this activity and press and articles are being written. There's an RCMP investigation, all that kind of stuff, because the truth is unspectacular. Right? Fun with words. Mr. Smith declined to respond to questions about when he lived at the property, of course. Text messages, because when he lived at the property, when did you live there? Shouldn't be a question to which one, if we were in the United States, would want to plead the fifth. But it seems that this is that type of information Mr. Smith thinks might not make him look good, I'm guessing. Wonder why that is. Text messages written by Mr. Smith and obtained by the Globe show he referred to the property as his home between August 2023 and mid-2024. So, I mean, like, they have the texts. Like, dude, come on. Jerry Amiot, the realtor who represented the home seller, said Fatima Mreish took possession of the property through a numbered company. Oh, interesting. On August 11th, 2023. Mr. Smith lived at the property with at least 2 other people. Ethan Le Cavalier Kidney told the Globe he lived at the property under a sublease agreement from August 2023 to 2024. He said he paid $1,118 a month plus utilities. He did not answer questions about who collected his rent. Eric Engler also confirmed he resided at the property but did not provide details about when he lived there or the amount of rent he paid. Both said they were unaware of who owned the property. The 2 men worked in a government as political staff. Huh. 2 political staff paying rent and living in a $1.6 million home, along with the chief of staff. Hmm. That that sounds like the setup for plot of movies that are back in the day behind the curtain at the video store that might appeal to my community in particular. Anyway, um, interesting. The premier, who is not related to Mr. Smith, signed an agreement on July 20th, 2023, that provided Mr. Smith a housing allowance of up to $23,160 per year, equal to what members of the legislature who live outside Edmonton received at the time. He got a housing allowance equivalent to an MLA. I don't know if that's normal for a chief of staff. I don't know. I don't know. So I can't say that's suspicious, but that's kind of interesting. Um, yeah. So, but yeah, his employment agreement with the Alberta government, included a housing subsidy, according to the publicly available copy of his contract. Again, I don't know if that's a standard clause. Quote, "The employee will be required to divide time between Edmonton, Alberta and Calgary, Alberta." The contract reads. It states that Mr. Smith would be reimbursed upon submission of receipts. The Premier's office did not acknowledge for requests for comment. So, again, this could potentially be a situation where he was receiving $23,160 per year for housing subsidy, and he wasn't staying there full time because his time was split. So, subletted it to 2 other people for a certain amount, and then guess potentially, I guess, since we don't know who collected that rent, um, this could literally be a situation where he might have collected that stipend and still not used a cent of it to actually pay for rent because the rent would have been covered by the 2 staffers who were living there. I'm not saying that that happened, but hypothetically or theoretically, given this information, that could have happened. Which, not saying it did, but that would be a reason why you probably would not want to be forthcoming with terms of where did you live for how long and how much rent did you pay? Which in normal times are not incriminating questions. Okay. Interesting. So with all of this going on, the separation stuff, the Tylenol stuff, the skybox seats going on, Mickey Amory, the justice minister, having some type of relationship to people at the heart of an investigation, the former chief of staff living in a property of someone who's related to someone who is somehow involved in an investigation, either as a target or a person of interest. And then 2 staffers living there as well, when we know the chief of staff does not live there full time, and they're paying rent, and we don't know who collected it. These are all things now that lead to a title. Like I said, again, I want you to know that this title was written on April 5th, so this is before a lot of this stuff was known. But the title is, and I love it, does Danielle Smith know we can all see and hear her? On Liberation/Burn the Global Economy to the Ground Day, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith posted a grinning photo of herself on social media stamped with a banner declaring, quote, U.S. tariff announcement, big win for Alberta and Canada. In the accompanying caption, she said, quote, this is precisely what I've been advocating for from the U.S. administration for months. This raises an important and disturbing question. Does the Alberta Premier know we can see and hear her? Does she think she's a ghost stuck in some restless liminal state between this world and the next, invisible and silent unless she chooses to reveal herself? Should we stage a seance to symbolically free her so she will understand at long last that she's made of flesh and bone, and that when she says things, everyone else can hear them? Or I suppose a shorter way to the same idea is, does Danielle Smith think everyone else is stupid? Because it sure looks like precisely what, quote, she has been advocating for is a sweet deal for her province and it alone, not just in spite of what might befall the rest of Canada, but as a specific strategy of climbing over everyone else to get what she wants. Ouch. When Mr. Trump initially launched his tariff threats on the notion that fentanyl and bad guys were pouring across the Canadian border, an obviously ludicrous pretext to circumvent Congress, Ms. Smith's response was to say that Canada needed to get its act together. Quote, we should just say, yes, we agree, and we are going to take care of our part of the issue so you don't have to worry about us anymore, she told CTV News. In January, when the premiers met to figure out how to deal with the imminent trade war, Ms. Smith refused to sign the joint statement and issued her own instead, rejecting that energy exports could be any part of the Canadian response. Quote, we will take whatever actions are needed to protect the livelihoods of Albertans from such destructive federal policies, she said. When asked what retaliation measures Canada could use, Ms. Smith scolded that it's not helpful to negotiate that in public, after she publicly removed the heftiest negotiation item and did so, and my editorial edition, and did so in public. To be sure, Alberta's citizens and economy would be disproportionately affected by any trade action involving oil and gas, but energy exports are the biggest carrot-shaped stick Canada has to shake at the White House. And every province and region of this country has its own vulnerabilities on trade. Ask an Ontario auto workers family how they're feeling today. But only one premier declared repeatedly that hers cancelled out everyone else's and the collective effort to boot. When a recent Breitbart News interview with Ms. Smith surfaced, all of the attention was focused on how she said that Mr. Poilievre would be more, quote, in sync with the Trump administration, and that she suggested cooling it with the tariff talk because it was helping the Liberals. But Ms. Smith also went on at length about how her province, quote, is the Texas of the North, with its cattle, oil, and deep conservative bent. She touted Alberta as the first to, quote, start protecting kids by banning puberty blockers and transgender surgery, and she highlighted how her government was shutting down fentanyl labs and battling, quote, wokeism run amok. When questioned afterwards about exactly whose case she was making, Miss Smith insisted, with the unflappable confidence of the radio host that she used to be, that she had, quote, been on Team Canada from the beginning. Now, there's a plot line in The Office in which an arrogant, insecure schemer named Annie Bernard joins the Scranton branch of Dunder Mifflin and immediately sets about sucking up to the regional manager, Michael Scott. The person in Andy's way is Dwight Schrute, Michael's eternally loyal weirdo henchman. So Andy, played by Ed Helms, starts talking Dwight down to Michael every chance he gets. He thinks he's being subtle, but he looks ridiculous and obvious. Quote, I shrooted it, Andy tells Michael at one point. It's just this thing people say around the office, like when you screw something up in a really irreversible way. Miss Smith transparently has been attempting an Andy Bernard play for the past several months, kissing up to the Trump entourage out of naked self-interest, while kneecapping what she decided was her competition, the rest of the country. Canada did not get sledgehammered as flat as it might have on the Wednesday that the tariffs were announced, but with 25% tariffs on steels, aluminum, and automobiles, and plant closings and layoffs already starting, that's like cheering because someone cut off 2 of your fingers instead of 3. No one but Miss Smith had declared victory here. On Thursday, Liberal leader Mark Carney said, although their policy will hurt American families until that pain becomes impossible to ignore, I do not believe they will change direction. So the road to that point may indeed be long, and it will be hard on Canadians. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said, quote, global markets are in turmoil. Our seniors are wondering what will happen to their savings and the tariff madness that came from the White House yesterday. Millions of Canadians woke up to the fear of losing their savings or their jobs, and Pierre had nothing for them. My editorial edition. The only way to conceive of Wednesday was as a hooray moment is if you cared about only a very narrow band of this in the first place. Energy products, including oil and gas, are excluded from the U.S. tariffs, like the Alberta Premier said, quote, an important win. One of the most life-affirming things in politics is when someone is trying to get away with something, but they accidentally tell on themselves. That Miss Smith did that in skywriting here is something to savor, though she could have spared us all the embarrassment of pretending to be a team player. So let's flip what it means to shroot something. It's not screwing a thing up in an irreversible way. It's pulling what you think is a terribly clever maneuver everyone else is too dumb to see, when in fact they're all looking right at you as you make a spectacle of yourself. Danielle Smith really shrooted this, and she has been shrooting on ever since April 5th. Danielle, we see you. We hear you. You're not that clever. And you're about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the forehead. It really is time to trot out the cabbage. You know your time is up. You're in media, right? You're the premier, but really, you're a media personality. And that's why you're in the US. You're trying to become a media personality there. You're in media. You know from being on the side of media when a politician is done. Heck, it happened to you before. And for some reason, the great conservative recycling program breathed new life into you, and here you are. But you know when a politician is over. You know you're over. We know you're over. We know you're over. We see you going. This type of weird flailing about that you're doing, sitting in the legislature going like this, I want the slander and innuendo to stop, when that is your stock and trade, boo-boo kitty. You know you're over. You can drag it out. You can make it a long melodrama. But we know where this ends up. You out of that seat. You no longer premier. And potentially maybe even sitting on a witness stand. You've lost a cabinet minister, Peter Guthrie, who you've ejected from the party because he was saying things that you didn't like. But and then you reshuffled and you offered, I think, positions to like 47 people, you, the small government person, I think somebody did the math and said that if Mark Carney had appointed a cabinet in an equivalent way that you would have had, there would be 101 members in it as opposed to 38. So, um, giving a job and a title and a goodie to absolutely everyone usually is a sign that a leader knows that there's a mutiny coming. You know you're done. Just look east. Same thing happened to Blaine Higgs. Cabinet ministers started walking. He started courting the Fatine Grossettis of the world. Started talking about trans kids. We know what happened to him. You are literally on the same path. You know how this show ends, Danielle. Resign. Walk away. But I will not be silenced, is Danielle. So we're going to keep on being treated to this show, unfortunately. But kits and cubs, do know, be aware, she is aware that that clock is ticking. Right? There's like Samuel Jackson in the back of her head. Tick tock, motherfucker. She hears it. Right? And if you watch the way that she's interacting and how she's going about doing her things over the next while, with that in mind, that the tick, 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 the urgency of a lot of the moves, a lot of the things that she says suddenly start to make sense. Not make sense in like, this is a smart thing to do, but it's like, why is she doing this really stupid? Oh, that's why. Okay. Right. Yeah. This is not going to end well for her. And again, how much optional suffering she decides to take on is completely up to her from this point on. But I think Shannon Proudfoot has properly diagnosed the problem. Danielle Smith just thinks that she really is that clever and that her mouth will be able to get her out of any situation because she has this, again, unflappable, confident, well, this is completely normal. I don't understand why it is that you're getting so upset about this as everything's like blowing up, right? I don't know why you're accusing me of eating the entire chocolate cake as she's got like cake all the way down her arm and her face, right? It's that's she really thinks she really does think we are all that dumb, or she thinks that she's just that clever and smart. That it doesn't matter how smart that we are, she's just smarter. But either way, it's a it's an attitude that does not look good for those of us who see and smell her coming. Um, it's particularly grating and makes us want to throw things and yell things at her TV. But just her time is coming. Her time is coming. The seeds of her um, eventual descent into irrelevance have been planted, and they are getting a lot of water and sun at the moment. For Danielle, it is only a matter of when, not if, in this case. And she, unfortunately, is extremely Trump in that she is fully willing to let it all burn down around her if it means she will save her own hide. She lies reflexively even when she doesn't need to. She is incapable of truth. She is not living in the same reality as the rest of us are, just like Pierre. Fantasism. They want us they want to manufacture and create a reality, and they want to live in it that just does not exist. Gotta ask yourself about you don't like current reality so much that you're willing to put this much effort into manufacturing one that is not real just so that you can be in a happy place or a safe place. There are levels to this dysfunction, and this is not healthy. Just in normal day life, but in a position of leadership where you have authority over people and control of an entire political jurisdiction's purse strings, this is extremely dangerous. It's beyond unhealthy at this point. She's got to go, and the sooner the better. And UCP caucus, I don't know if there's any of you here hate watching us or all that kind of stuff. Because we know you can do it. We saw what you did to Jason. What the hell are you waiting for, man? How many different scandals does she need to be mired into up to her eyeballs before you throw her overboard? God, respect yourselves, man. Jeez. Sorry. Yeah, PNC Bio, her party has been crumbling pretty fast after that 65% number came out. Yeah. Jeez. That 65% number, by the way, sorry, that's Kit PNC Bio. Sorry, I skipped something there. Sorry, for those listening. That's the number of UCP voters who are in favor of separating. 60% of the people who vote UCP want to separate. That is the demographic to which Danielle Smith is inextricably beholden. All of her longevity from this moment going forward resides with them. If they turn on her, like they turned on Jason, she's done like dinner. Right? So it's going to be about placating them and fluffing them over and over and over and over again. Because that's the only way she stays in power. And when she was already catering to them, but now she was trying to grab some veneer. Now there's no veneer possible. When you are out there literally doing an intellectual striptease for people who want the destruction of a country, people are going to notice that. And that same effect that repelled Canadians from Pierre, right? Because they keep on talking, well, he got more votes. Yeah, but he also made it such that the winning party won the most votes of any other party ever in Canadian history. That type of extremely polarizing effect, that's going to happen there too. And I'm not sure off the top of my head with what percentage the UCP won the last election. I'm going to try and take a look at that. But I am sure that whatever that number is, 65% of that, I would have a feeling is not 50% of the population. It's a sizable amount, no doubt, can't be ignored. But I would be very, very surprised if that ended up being enough of the population to actually achieve separation, even enough of the population to win an election again for her. So, yeah, the UCP got 52.63% of the vote in the last election. So 65% of that, if all those people showed up, is not enough of the electorate to make that happen. But she's going to cater. She was already catering to just 52.63%. Now she's going to cater to the most extreme wing of that 52. Whatever that middle part, she's going to send that to the NDP. And then voter turnout in that last election was 59.5%. Okay, we can't expect 100%. That's not going to happen. But if we take the last federal election, for example, about 68% turnout, that was enough. Okay, let's say there's another 9% turnout. That gets to 68. That extra 9% turnout is not going to be for her. Her base is already super motivated. They were super motivated that time to defeat Notley. That's what she got out. The fervor for don't let the New Democrats win in Alberta. They're going to send the economy into the tank. Is way stronger than the fervor for, hey, let's remove Alberta out of Canada. Right? You're going to get way more people in Alberta to say, oh my God, we can't vote NDP, to, oh my God, we got to vote not Canada. Danielle Smith is not on a winning path here. And the more she is going to give to that group in order to save herself, the more she's going to create a similar opposing dynamic to her and what she wants to do, as Pierre cultivated for himself. This is not going to end well for her in any way. Yikes. Yikes. This is not good. Not good at all. All right. The last little bit, which is we're getting there a little late, but the main part of the show, or the big news, is that, as we mentioned when we opened, that Prime Minister Carney did mention that there would indeed be a budget when he was in Rome. I saved. Normally, I would have opened with this a little more, but given that Mr. Grizzly is away, and this particular segment that I have from you is from CPAC, which means that YouTube shouldn't cut it with commercials. So I decided to save it for the back end in order to create a smooth show. See, I was thinking. So, Mark Carney, from Rome, had a press conference the other day, and once again, kids and cubs, I have to say, I cannot. How about darn? I am very, very, very impressed with the manner in which this man carries himself and conducts himself. It's how would I say? Um, we have. I think I've mentioned this on the show already in a very specific way, but we happen to have the good fortune at the moment of having a prime minister who describes himself as not a politician, as a pragmatist rather than a politician, who is learning the political game, like this, but who's not foreign to it because of his extensive career in the public service, and a lot of it requiring very highly developed diplomatic abilities. So when he was within the Department of Finance, of course, that's more of a political position, right? But he's within the Department of Finance, and then you're negotiating with everybody within there, and and you have to be diplomatic with the other divisions and whatnot. Like, listen, you're moving up, and then he becomes the governor of the Bank of Canada. Well, now, he's leading the whole board. So again, you have to have your leadership skills and, whatever office politics and office diplomacy, but he's going on the international stage and he's meeting these other global bankers and talking to other ministers of finance and world leaders and whatnot. And again, it's all in the realm of politics, but he's not the politician in that context, right? He's the central banker, which is much more diplomacy. So, but he's an expert in political diplomacy. So he's picked this up. And there doesn't seem to be much of a mood in Canada at the moment for politics in the sense that Danielle Smith and Pierre Poilievre and whatnot are practicing. So with politicians, you often get people, like I said, those robot report answers, the media lines and all that kind of stuff. But here we have a man who seems to like to answer questions substantively. And therefore, media is trying to adapt, asking media should be very, very happy because this type of prime minister gives them the opportunity to actually ask substantive questions rather than the junior high type stuff. But as a listener, as an audience member, when you sit there like this and he gives you a minute and a half answer to something that is all content and no fluff. There's a couple of times he gives an answer in this one, and I'm sitting there like this. I had to stop, and it's like, I almost wanted to light a post-coital cigarette. I was so satisfied. It's like, ooh, Prime Minister, ooh, you're rocking my world here. Ooh, I need to fan myself. It's like all these big words and all this substance. It's making me hot. For those of us who are, I think the word is sapiosexuals, this guy's turning us on with the quality of his answers and his willingness to be able to be substantive. So we're going to play, go through his availability here. And the initial announcement and statement is very short. It takes like about a minute or two. So it's pretty much a Q&A session here. But yeah, this, for those of you who like substance, who like somebody who keeps it real, who like someone who is willing to go into the details, you are really, really going to love this. And again, I am really hoping that this is the standard that is maintained all the way through, because this makes my little beaver heart happy. I know I've been waxing enthusiastic. I'm just going to get on and play with it. I'm probably building this up so much now that it's going to be a disappointment. But here we go, kids and cubs. Prime Minister Mark Carney in Rome following, I think it is, the papal inauguration.
OK. Bonjour tout le monde. C'est un plaisir d'être parmi vous. C'était un privilège de représenter le Canada pour la messe d'inauguration du Pape Leo XIV.
So basically saying that it's a pleasure to be with you, and it was an honor and a privilege to be able to attend the inaugural papal mass of the new Pope.
It was a great privilege for me to represent Canada at the inaugural mass for Pope Leo XIV. It's a source of inspiration for Canadians, for Catholics, and for people around the world. The message of peace, the message of love that he emphasized, but an active peace, not peace as an absence of conflict, but peace as something that we seek. Now, in parallel to this event, I had the opportunity to meet with a number of world leaders, a number of partners, G7 partners, including the host here in Italy, Prime Minister Meloni, President Mattarella, Chancellor Merz this morning. I'll be meeting with Vice President Vance later today. A number of other conversations with world leaders. And the main message I would take away from that is that I will leave Rome tomorrow morning, more convinced than ever that Canada has what the world wants, and we seek to follow the values that the world respects. So there's a tremendous opportunity for Canada to help lead a world that is being reshaped to the advantage of Canadians and, in the spirit of today's proceedings, to the advantage of all in the world. With that, I'll be pleased to take your questions.
So there, kids and cubs, 1 minute and 47 seconds. That is literally the statement. This is a 27-minute availability. So the man is available for 27 minutes and 46 seconds, and we'll be spending about 26 of those minutes answering questions. I'm not equipped. I mean, we got Pierre, 4 questions and no media following on the campaign. This guy is like, yep, I'm going to talk to you for about a minute and under 2 minutes, and now just give me your questions. I'm not equipped. I'm not equipped for this openness. It's such a departure from what we've been seeing. So let's see what they had to say. What was asked?
Nous commencerons avec Nick Murray de la presse canadienne.
Bonjour, M. Carney.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Merci de prendre nos questions. Avant qu'on se rende aux questions plus difficiles...
Un peu plus...
Parfait. Avant qu'on se rende aux questions plus difficiles, je voudrais reporter à l'événement aujourd'hui. Pour vous autres, personnellement...
So before going to more difficult questions, I would like to bring things to a little bit more of a personal aspect.
C'était quoi l'importance pour vous autres? On vous a vu, vous êtes un des seuls leaders qui se tenait sur ses genoux avant le...
What is this meaning for you? You were one of the only leaders who was on his knees. You can see his reaction here. Like
avant la communion, on a vu ça. Puis,
so on his knees for communion.
Ici, on vous a vu prendre 2 photos du pape avant la messe, puis après que c'est fini aussi. Donc, je voulais...
You also took 2 photos with the Pope before and after the Mass.
Juste demander, est-ce que tu peux nous dire un peu plus de qu'est-ce que la journée représentait pour vous autres?
So could you tell us more about what the day represented for you? This question was not well asked. Even like the quality. This person should have taken some time to actually, a couple seconds to actually write out the question that they wanted to ask and be a little more direct. It's not a good question. It's certainly, he could have just asked, we understand you're a Catholic. This day must have meant a lot to you. What did it mean? But you took selfies and you got on your knees for communion. You got on, that was not necessary. So let's see how the Prime Minister handles this one.
Pour moi-même ou pour les autres?
Pour vous autres.
Pour moi, je suis catholique et c'était une messe et ce moment d'une messe, on fait ça. C'est normal, comme le Premier ministre d'Australie, il y a quelques autres qui...
So basically, I said, you're asking what it means, like for others, or like for me personally? He goes, for you personally. He says, well, for me, I'm a Catholic, right? And it's like, it was a mass, it was communion. It's what we do, right? It says, like, if I wasn't the only world leader who was a Catholic that got on their knees for communion.
Qui ont fait ça. Alors,
but take your photo out and take a picture of the Pope. Obviously, a very important and historic day for you.
I would note that virtually everybody took a picture of the Pope that was around me, who were prime ministers and others. It's an important day. It's an interesting day. It's funny. I'll make a comment. I know you're asking a serious question, but what strikes me, and it struck me there as well, is that world leaders, heads of government, virtually without exception, take pictures. They take selfies. A number of world leaders came up to me and asked for a selfie that they took themselves, and this is our culture today.
Évidemment, on était dans un endroit historique aujourd'hui au Vatican. Il y a une place au Canada qui est ainsi historique, le 24 Sussex. Je me demandais, c'est quoi votre plan pour 24 Sussex? C'est quoi votre préférence à faire avec la propriété?
Okay, so we're in a very historic place. In Canada, 24 Sussex is also a historic place. What do you want to do with the property? I'm not understanding why. This is a question here, but okay.
Alors, c'est une décision pour la commission du capital national,
So this is a decision for the National Capital Commission.
mais je crois que c'est pas pour moi. Alors, c'est une question pour la nation du Canada.
The house is not for me. It's going to be for the nation, right? For the country of Canada.
Et je ne suis pas à l'aise avec la maison du Canada, en effet, la maison du Canada. Et
I'm not comfortable with the House of Canada. So I'm not sure here specifically if he means he's not comfortable with the state that it's in or just not comfortable wanting to stay there like this. But I would suspect here by the fact that he's not comfortable with the situation that the house is in disrepair and that it needs to be addressed and that it doesn't seem to be, that this keeps on coming up would be my impression based on the overall tone, but it's not precise. This is just me filling in the blanks there.
il faut régler cette situation. Il y a des idées, par exemple, il y a des idées de M. Harper et puis de M. Chrétien.
We must resolve this situation, and there are ideas. There have been ideas proposed by Prime Minister Harper and Prime Minister Chrétien.
Les deux, de renouveler le 24 Sussex pour les prochains premiers ministres, pas pour moi, absolument pas pour moi, mais
So plans to renew or renovate or do something for 24 Sussex for future prime ministers. Not for me, definitely not for me, but for the future.
pour les prochains premiers ministres. C'est intéressant, mais on peut avoir une conversation sur cela, mais pour le moment, nous avons d'autres priorités comme
So we can have a conversation on that, but for the moment, we have other priorities. So basically, again, it looks like nobody's going to really address it, or doesn't seem to be a particular priority to do anything about it now. And I just wish somebody would just bite the bullet and say, listen, right? It's also the Prime Minister of Canada. The Prime Minister represents all the people of Canada. It's like, this is the price of, a residence for your Prime Minister. That which you can receive people is the basic price, is one of the basic prices of entry to be a global player. We're just going to fix it. And let them scream. Right? Just fix the damn thing.
gouvernement. Alors, c'est pas un enjeu pour aujourd'hui, pour 7 mois, pour cette année, et probablement pas un enjeu pour ce mandat.
See, and again it goes. So this is not an issue for today, for this moment, and it, continues, and probably not even for this mandate. So in other words, it seems like we're just going to keep on letting it remain in a state of disrepair and not really doing anything. Not really a real priority to address it. I mean, again, see, this is one of the things that where our politics in Canada is like really, really small. It's like when you can't even agree as a nation to make sure that the nation has a residence for the prime minister that is not falling apart and is not rat infested, because as soon as somebody approves it, oh my God, you're building luxury for yourself. And that's how small we've become. Tiny, tiny, tiny. That's why we can't have nice things. It's that type of attitude. Moving on.
Alors, merci.
Prochaine question.
Bonjour, M. Carney. Vous l'avez dit, vous êtes catholique pratiquant. Comment votre foi et ce nouveau pape vont influencer votre mandat comme premier ministre?
So again, similar question that he has been asked before. You're a Catholic. How will this new pope, influence your mandate? How does your faith and how will this new pope influence your mandate as a prime minister? This I don't even have to play the answer because we already know Prime Minister Carney has already said, and it's the same standard answer that Chrétien gave. Basically, my religion inspires me to a life of service, and then that's where it stops when I get to the door. Right? of Parliament or whatever, the life of service that I have means that I'm supposed to be of service to every single Canadian, not just the Catholic Canadians. So it inspires my service, but I leave the faith at the door. Right?
Il y a pas seule influence, c'est d'être un politicien dans ce moment. C'est une question de la service. Je crois que j'ai une obligation, une responsabilité de rendre la service pour le Canada. Mais n'importe impact sur les politiques du gouvernement.
In English, please.
So basically, going to repeat it in English here, but
Okay.
it's this is the
Who would
standard
like
answer.
it in English, please?
I can ask
All
it.
together. Yes. My faith. The only influence it has in terms of my political life is the fact of my political life. In other words, I feel because of that responsibility, a sense of service, which is one of the reasons why I put myself forward. It does not have an influence on the politics or the policies, I should say, the policies that the government follows.
Et M. Carney, on a été surpris cette semaine d'apprendre que vous ne déposeriez pas de budget.
Okay, now we start to get to some news finally. And we were surprised this week to learn that you would not be tabling a budget.
Pourquoi?
Il y aura un budget.
So
Non,
why?
oui, je sais
He
qu'il y aura un
goes,
budget.
and then he goes, there will be a budget. And she goes, well, yes.
À un moment donné, mais en
I know that there will be a budget eventually, but
tout cas, pas à court terme, mais pas d'ici à ce que la Chambre quitte pour les vacances. Pourquoi avoir pris cette décision-là?
Ouais. Alors,
okay. So why not between now and the time that the House lifts for the break? Now, here's a thing that happened over the course of the weekend is that the revelation, François-Philippe Champagne, finance minister, went on to Power and Politics, gave an interview, gave the impression pretty much said that there would be a fall economic statement coming, not a budget this fall, and didn't outright say the words, there will be no budget this year, right? Or before, but pretty much very heavily suggested it. Now, the Prime Minister is going to make an announcement, but you will see the question here is no longer why will there not be a budget this year, but why will there not be a budget like this summer before the House rises? The House has to rise on June 20th, right? Based on everything that's there at the latest, based on everything that was determined for the parliamentary calendar prior to the year beginning. So that's the date scheduled. So basically the question now has morphed from why not a budget anytime this year to why not a budget before June 20th? So goalposts are being moved a little here.
D'ici à la fin de cette session du Parlement, il n'y a que 3 semaines, ok? Et il y aura des initiatives législatives très importantes pour le gouvernement.
So he's basically saying from here till the end of the current the session of Parliament that's going to reopen very quickly, there's only about 3 weeks and there are many legislative priorities that the government has.
Il y aura un discours de trône dans 10 jours.
There will be a speech from the throne in about 10 days.
12 jours probablement. Et on va les énumérer, les priorités pour le gouvernement pour la première période du Parlement.
And we will enumerate the priorities of the government for this initial session of Parliament.
Et par exemple,
For example,
pour des gens qui suivent mes discours, ma campagne
for those who followed my speeches in my campaign,
électorale, la campagne du Parti libéral, c'est clair, les priorités à court terme. C'est une économie
the short-term priorities are clear. One economy, not 13.
canadienne. Alors, des initiatives du gouvernement de rendre les politiques à l'échelle fédérale de soutenir une économie canadienne. C'est un exemple. Il y a
So basically, government moves to, at the federal level, support the creation of one Canadian economy.
d'autres exemples, par exemple la
Other examples.
réduction des impôts pour la classe moyenne.
The reduction of income taxes for the middle classes.
Mais en ce qui concerne, il y aura un budget. Il y aura un budget en automne. Soyons clairs, il y aura un budget en automne.
But where all things are concerned, there will be a budget. There will be a budget in October. Let's be clear, there will be a budget in October. Making news. All right. So now that we know that there's a budget in October, now it becomes defined the question, well, why not now? Conservatives have started leading that if you see that online. I can't believe we're not going to get it. No budget, no plan, all that kind of stuff, right? So we're getting a budget. But now, why not a budget before June? Now, kids and cubs, you have to explain. A budget process takes a long time, a proper one, right? Probably takes a solid 6 months or so, really. Now, there's a portion of it that gets done no matter what. Department of Finance starts doing things, gets the data, all that kind of stuff. And during an election campaign, the process is a little more complicated. But what the Department of Finance will usually do is we'll start preparing various budget scenarios depending on what each of the main candidates that have a legitimate chance of winning are saying, and start shaping stuff around that. So regardless of who wins, there's a portion of the work that is done so that the new government can come in and hit the ground running. Right. So this is something that does happen. So it's very important, right? But in this case, right, we have, even though the government is of the same party, we do have a change in government because it's not the same prime minister. And therefore, this prime minister may have different spending priorities than the previous one. Right? So a lot of anything that was done to prepare this budget, anything that would have been done prior to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announcing that he was stepping aside, because basic economic data, what's the macroeconomic situation, all that kind of stuff, that definitely stands. That doesn't change. That remains constant regardless of who is leader. But, right, is there going to be as much on reconciliation with a Prime Minister Carney as there was with Prime Minister Trudeau? Is there going to be as much on research? For one, is there going to be as much, defense? We're going to be spending a lot more, it seems. So these types of things definitely change stuff when it happens. So in this case, it isn't as simple as a government led by Justin Trudeau going into an election, winning the election, and then coming back, and then we just pick up the budgeting process. Right? There is a transition. There'll be other priorities, so you're going to want to check in on a couple of things. Now, there's an interesting meme that's going around, and I want to show it to you, and we will. So I'm just going to take some time to show that, but we will get back to the press conference because this is a very interesting set of data points that I want you to look at. And here, if you're seeing it right now on your screen, which you should, there you go. The number of days for a prime minister to release their first budget. And this goes back to the days of Brian Mulroney. So Brian Mulroney, he was elected because it took him 248 days to release his first budget. I'm old enough to remember then. Nobody lost their minds. Then Ken Campbell took over from Brian Mulroney. New leader, same party. She wasn't prime minister long enough to get through a budgetary exercise, so she never released one. Then we got Jean Chrétien, because he came in 110 days after he released his first budget. Then we had Paul Martin. Now, Paul Martin, we have an interesting situation because, as is the case now, right, we have same party retaining the government, just a different leader. But Paul Martin needed 102 days. Oh, why so short? Well, we have to put a little asterisk on that one because this happens to be a transition from one prime minister to another, but it just so happens that the prime minister to whom we transition just happened to be the finance minister in the previous administration. Odds are things are probably going to continue flowing in a regular manner. Then we get Stephen Harper. And this is the one that everybody's pointing to, because Stephen Harper came in and got his first budget done in 85 days without being the government before. So again, all the core data that was given was all done. That work was done. But he came in and gave a budget in 85 days. And then came Justin Trudeau, who delivered his first one in 139, following a decade of Harper. You will notice that objectively and hands down, by any metric, the Prime Minister among this list that had the absolute worst economic record for all of Canada also happens to be the guy who took the shortest amount of time to release their first budget after becoming Prime Minister. Do with that information what you will, but to me, it seems that the moral of this story here is there are certain things that if you want them to be done well, you're just going to have to accept that it's going to take a little time. So all the conservatives and the pundits running around going, Mark Carney's this great economist. I can't believe we're not going to get a budget before June. That's no plan. Blah, 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 blah. It was like, yeah. In my lifetime, the guy that came in and got the budget done fastest was the one who screwed up the economy the most. So you know what? I'm okay waiting a couple of extra weeks. And all of you who are complaining should be too. Give the man some time. New Prime Minister, new priorities, existential threat coming from the South, complete overhaul of our economic priorities, building new industries, diversifying trade partners, and boosting all of our national defense. Yeah, that can all be done in 30 days or so, because the people that are making this comment seem to have forgotten, or seem to have hope that we forget as citizens, that before you determine how much you're going to spend in your budget, you have to determine what you're going to put in it. And maybe when you're reorienting your entire economy, and maybe when you are changing your entire defense posture with regard to procurement and acquisition and all that kind of stuff, maybe you'll want to consult with a couple of people. Maybe reorienting your entire economy and changing your defense program are two things that are really, really so important that you might want to spend more than 15 days doing it. Maybe. So, we need to have some realistic expectations considering the amount of work that is being done. So, let's listen to Mark Carney here on this one. And I believe that this might have been one of the answers that had me laying back in my chair when I was done going, oh, damn, that was very satisfying.
In English, please.
There'll be a budget in the fall. In the short term, it's a very short parliamentary session that is coming up. The speech from the throne is on the 27th, as people know. The House is due to rise under the House's rules by the 20th of June, so it's really 3 weeks. We have some very clear priorities, which, as you know from following those who followed the campaign, those who followed my remarks, those who followed my opening press conference, would include the federal government taking all the steps it can to help create one Canadian economy out of 13, in addition initiatives such as the middle class tax cut. But there will be a budget in the fall.
Abigail Beeman, CTV News.
Yep.
To that point, with your economic experience as a former governor of two central banks,
Yep.
why not present Canadians with a budget at the very first opportunity?
Well, this is in fact based on my economic experience. There is not much value in my judgment, and it's considered judgment, and it's judgment based on experience, that there is not much value in trying to rush through a budget in a very narrow window, 3 weeks, with a new cabinet, effectively a new finance minister, just reappointed, but a new finance minister, rush that through. For example, in advance of the NATO summit, which happens after Parliament rises. So the NATO summit, 23rd, 24th, that is going to be a very important event for the security of Canada, but also it will have fiscal implication. It will have budgetary implications for Canada. That's one example. To have a budget before we substantially advance further our discussions with the Americans with respect to our economic partnership, to have greater clarity around that. I'm not saying we'll have perfect clarity, but to have greater clarity around that. Again, that's another factor. A third factor, one of the things that we emphasized and are working on from the start of this new mandate is improving the efficiency of government spending, looking where we can reduce costs at all possible, and improving the productivity of the public sector. We are launching that those set of initiatives, having greater visibility on that as we prepare a budget. All of those three factors, so defense spending, the economic outlook, including the tariff relationship with the United States and the efficiency, all of those coming together, we will have a much more comprehensive, effective, ambitious, prudent budget in the fall. You do these things right, and that's what we're going to do.
In your
Whew. Damn. Kids. That was even better the second time. Right. There's this big meeting, NATO meeting happening. I think sometime in July, if I'm not mistaken. Might be a good idea if we're going to do this whole defense thing to actually have that meeting and talk to those people and figure out a couple of things and then determine what it is that we're going to put in the budget and then figure out how much it costs and all that kind of stuff before putting out the budget. Or we could just put out the budget and then go to the NATO thing and then determine, hey, good, we have all these things to do, so we're going to revise the budget. Right? Some things just take a little time. That's all. We live in an on-demand world, I get it. But there are still certain things, like, for example, waiting for a bone to heal, that just take time. I find it interesting. I understand the sentiment, but it's like wishing you a speedy recovery. It's like, unfortunately, a bone takes the time to heal. That a bone takes the time to heal, and I can't speed it up, no matter how well I eat or rest or baby it or all that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't set the clock here, right? It's like, as impatient as I may be and whatnot, I don't set the clock. I have to surrender to the fact that this is just what it's going to be. Early words of wisdom, kids and cubs. So in this case, the guy who has a very big economic reputation would probably really care about his first budget, in particular, being done very right. I'm sure he would care about every single budget being done right, given his background, but I'm sure he would have particular interest in the budget that he's going to pronounce and go, hey, world, I'm here. Here's my first budget. That would be well done. That it would be a serious document that he could go to our international players and say, could you imagine putting out a budget right now, doing it before the fall session that doesn't have anything substantive on defense after saying that he would reach the 2% of GDP, and then going into the next meeting with Trump and Vance and all of them and having nothing, and then them being able to say, but look, here, your budget, you said you were, look, it says right here in your budget, you're not going to do anything. Oh, don't worry, we're going to do another budget after that and another budget after that. Like, we're going to do 3 or 4 of them this year and keep on amending it as we get more stuff. It's like, that would not be serious. We would look foolish. As opposed to taking a couple of extra months and just putting out a good one. You only get one shot to make a first impression. And this first budget is going to be this Prime Minister's first impression, not only to Canadians, but to international partners, international markets, credit rating agencies, all that kind of stuff. You would think that media, journalists, opposition parties, whatnot, like this, if they have the best interest of Canada at heart first, above anything else, and then everything else, would want this exercise to be done well and be a serious document that international partners and whatnot could look at and say, oh, okay, that's where Canada is, rather than like, what the fuck? Right. Now, unsurprising that conservatives in the political sphere are calling for this, considering the costed platform that they put out and its quality or lack thereof. So, of course, they probably would love for the Liberals to put out one a budget that is of equal or similar quality to their costed platform, so that they could attack it. Oh, by the way, if you're trying to find the conservative platform online, it's really hard to find. It seems it was up for a couple of days and vanished again. There's a couple of places that have archived it, but try to link to it from the party site, and good luck. Went looking for it the other day. I had to go to some place on Amazon or whatnot to find a copy of it archived. I couldn't link to it anywhere from the Conservative Party of Canada site. Yeah, interesting. It's like you can find links if you Google it, but if you click it, it brings you to the Conservative Party page, but it doesn't bring you to the document. It just brings you to the page where you can donate. But the platform's gone already. Curious. All right. There's more in this that is extremely satisfying. I highly recommend that you take a look at it, kids and cubs, because right now we're only at 10 minutes of the 27 here. And there are a couple of other substantive answers on that. I will include the link here in the chat for you kids and cubs. If you want to take a moment to go and look at it, I would very much highly recommend it, because you are going to get a lot of substantive information in there, in short packs that you might not get in the overall news program, because Mark Carney seems to have this ability to either make so much news in a press conference, or with his efficient sort of, people are calling it a blunt style, delivering so much content or facts in a small amount of time that the 3-minute news segment covering what happened isn't enough to cover the full breadth of the content. It's not like he's speaking for 5 minutes and giving like 15 seconds of an answer that's good. Is that he speaks for 3 minutes, and like in 2 minutes and 22 seconds is all stuff that, oh, this is content, this is content, this is content. Oh, few connecting words, content. So he packs so much of it in it that his press conferences are actually worth listening to, right? To make sure that you've gotten all of the content, because all of it can't necessarily fit in one little segment, unless it's like an extended one, like an interview that maybe lasts like 10 minutes or something like that. But just in your standard, 1 minute to 2 minute, 2 minute and a half sort of news story clip, all the stuff can't fit in there. So highly recommend it. And like I said, I will, if there are any specific additional ones that are really, really noteworthy, and I think there are one or two, I will bring them back and highlight them in another show to not let them go by. But that last answer that you got, that he was listing like 3 areas and the dates that things were happening and how things, schedules and, like this, you have to factor all these things in, and all of them go in to making it. That answer alone could have been the news clip with no additional extra context or whatnot, like from a journalist or a reporter on, like, here's the question, here's the answer, now you've got all the details, right? So at least all the details that are publicly available at this time, right? So it's he has a very interesting approach, and again, it might not be to all tastes, whatnot, but me personally, I really love this. I was like, give me the substance. Give me the substance. And he brings it, which is really nice and refreshing, I have to say. All right. Kits and Cubs, let me see if I've got anything else for you today. I think that's pretty much. I mean, we've got a long because we did it in 2 parts. It doesn't look as long, but yeah, we've done a pretty good show today. There, couple of things before we go because we like to talk about democracy going on around the world, and we, of course, we have a personal interest because, as you may know, if you've been following the show, my beaver sweetie is a Romanian national. Canadian citizen as well, but Romanian national still has his EU passport and was able to vote in the Romanian elections in the second round that was taking place over the course of the weekend. As you know, we've been following the Romanian election because it's been pretty interesting. Because if you remember, they had a first round sometime last year, and there was a guy named Georgescu Călin who came out of nowhere and sort of ran a social media campaign, a lot of it fueled by TikTok, and came out of nowhere to win the first round with about 40% of the vote, which shocked a lot of people. But it turns out that they found out that there was a lot of Russian influence in how that campaign took place, and it was decided to annul that vote and to run a first round all over again, in which Georgescu Călin would be eliminated. That created a big reflex within the nation, an anti-establishment reflex. Now there already was one, but it created a rather big one with regard to that, and that's why this guy George Simeon, who came in to replace Georgescu as the candidate for that party, was very popular in that second runoff, that in that second first round that was held just 2 weeks ago, where he picked up 40% of the vote. And it seemed that a lot of people were writing, well, okay, well, he's definitely going to become the next leader of Romania. And it was a question because this guy Simeon was seemed to be much more pro-Trump and anti-Ukraine and all that kind of stuff. And the articles were being written at the time seemed to indicate that that was the case, that he probably would be the next leader. But as you know, Kits and Cubs, we look a little deeper, and we were looking at the other parties in the polls. And we were doing the math, and we were seeing that that when you added the second, third, fourth place parties, I believe, that were all in a similar part of the spectrum, that they had a little more than the 50%, and that if everybody showed up in the same proportions, there was actually a significant chance that Simeon could not win. We had also noticed that with regard to the expatriate vote in Romania, that a lot of it that was not from within Western Europe, so Romanians that were living and working in Germany or whatnot, but everywhere else, was very pro a party that would be looking more towards the overall world versus looking to Russia, Trump, anti-UN, anti-Ukraine, that type of vibe. So we held hope that it could change. Well, it seems that the diaspora communities came out and voted a whole lot more in the second round than they did in the first round. And that led to a gentleman who is named Nicușor Dan, who is a former mayor of Bucharest, defeating Simeon for the top job, and in a convincing enough fashion. Here, according to the Associated Press, it says pro-European candidate Nicușor Dan has won Romania's closely watched presidential runoff against a hard-right nationalist. Nearly complete electoral data shows. A huge turnout on Sunday played a key role in the tense election that many viewed as a geopolitical choice between East and West. The race pitted frontrunner George Simeon, the 38-year-old leader of the Hard Right Alliance for the Unity of Romanians, or AUR, against Dan, the mayor of Bucharest. It was held months after the cancellation of the previous election plunged Romania into its worst political crisis in decades. After 10.7 million of 11.6 million votes were counted, Dan was ahead with 54.19%, while Simeon trailed at 45.81%, according to official data. In the first round vote on May 4th, Simeon won almost double the votes as Dan, and had as many as local. And sorry, I have to cough. Pardon me. Simeon won almost double the votes as Dan, and many local surveys had predicted he would secure the presidency. But in a swing that appeared to be a repudiation of Simeon's more skeptical approach to the EU, which Romania joined in 2007, Dan picked up almost 900,000 more votes to solidly defeat his opponent in the final round. When voting closed at 9 p.m. local time, official electoral data showed a 64% voter turnout. About 1.64 million Romanians abroad at specially set up polling stations participated in the vote, some 660,000 more than in the first round. In the first round on May 4th, the final turnout stood at 53% of eligible voters. So diaspora Romanians all around the world, when they saw it was Simeon and Dan, and seeing what's going on in the States and whatnot, 600,000 extra expats decided, you know what? Yeah, we don't want Romania to go down the path of Trump. Thank you very much. And showed up to vote. How about that? France, Canada, Australia, Romania. Since Trump started doing what he's doing. It's not just in Canada that the existence of Trump and political parties and politicians trying to lift that rather than coming up with their own thing and just trying to transpose it into their own nations are failing. This Trumpism, if you're paying attention, slowly but surely, in many countries, is being rejected by people all around the world. Dan told reporters that, quote, elections are not about politicians, but about communities, and that Sunday's vote, quote, was a community of Romanians has won, a community that wants a profound change in Romania. When Romania goes through difficult times, let us remember the strength of this Romanian society. There is also a community that lost today's elections, a community that is rightly outraged by the way politics has been conducted in Romania up to now. Thousands gathered outside Dan's headquarters near Bucharest City's Hall to wait the final results. And as more real results came in, the crowd, many waving European Union flags, erupted in cheers. And so, yeah, interesting, good stuff here going on. Dan is a 55-year-old mathematician. Central banker in Canada, mathematician in Romania. It seems that people are starting to see the value of smart people, experts, if you will, people with some rigor and method. It seems that even though conservatives have tried to convince us that that was out of fashion, nobody liked that anymore, it seems that that is indeed not the case. So he's a 55-year-old mathematician who rose to prominence as a civic activist fighting against illegal real estate projects, ran independently on a pro-European ticket, reaffirming Western ties, support for Ukraine, and fiscal reform. He's a former activist who backed reunification, and the other guy, Simeon, is a former activist who backed reunification with neighboring Moldova. He campaigned on reforms, slashing red tape, reducing bureaucracy and taxes. Who does that sound like? His AUR party said it stands for, quote, and these are 4 words that if you hear politically put together in a slogan should scare the shit out of you: family, nation, faith, and freedom. We all know what that's code for. And rose to prominence in a 2020 parliamentary election. So Dan will become the leader, which is great. So he's the president, of course. Romania has a president and a prime minister. And it seems that the leading candidate for prime minister was someone else who did run, but did not get elected. And his name is Ilie Bolojan, or Bolojan. He is a member of the Senate of Romania, and he too apparently is a former mayor. So if Nicușor Dan picks him, then you would have the president, the prime minister, and the president and the prime minister of the nation both having been former mayors. That could definitely change the direction of a nation when it comes to leadership. So Boloyan was the mayor of a city called Oradea in uh, in uh, in Romania. So could be really interesting. This one was very, very important because if you don't know Moldova, there's some history. Like, it was part of Romania and then independent and all that kind of stuff. But Moldova itself is one, the poorest nation in Europe, uh, but also one that Putin very much has his eyes on in terms of wanting to reclaim, should his effort in Ukraine be successful. So the Moldovans are particularly um, we're particularly hoping that Romania would stay in the side of the West as opposed to making that move because um, I think Moldova uh, doesn't border with any other EU country except Romania, if I'm not mistaken. And therefore, they would have been geographically had a distance and would have been much easier to take over, especially if Romania had moved to the anti-Ukraine and pro-Russia side and wanted to absorb Moldova back into it. So, fortunately, none of that is going to happen, and the resistance to Trump stays strong. What was particularly interesting in this election as well is that while most of Romanians that lived in Western Europe really wanted the pro-Trump candidate to come back, because I guess they were hoping. It seems that from what I'm gathering from Romanian people in my circle, is that they would like to return home, but they can't because the economic opportunities are not there, and they're not particularly fond of living in Germany or in France or whatnot. So this guy coming back saying that he was going to reunify all of Romania, bring back Moldova, bring back. There was another part of it that was out that he wanted to reintegrate into it, and like build the economy. A lot of people saw that as a cue that they might be able to come back and live in Romania, like they would, and so they voted for him. But Eastern Europe, Romanians living in like Serbia and Montenegro and all of them, like this, all of those nations, the majority of the expat vote went for Nicoș Șordan as well. So, which was a little counterintuitive because you would think that Romanians living in Western Europe, this would be more tuned to the EU, and the other way, and the ones living in the East would be more on the Russia side, and it was a complete flip. I guess a little unexpected, but a complete flip. But here, basically, Romanians living outside of Romania exercised their right to vote as expats and really drove this home. And like I said, anything out there that resists Donald Trump is a really good thing for me. So, hi, Romania. And then there was another election here, according to NPR, that we didn't talk about much, but it was in Portugal. And it seems that there was a little bit of instability there. They had it's their third general election in 3 years, and it failed to deliver a result that could break the worst spell of political instability for decades in the European country of 10.6 million people. This is also according to the Associated Press. Sunday's vote delivered another minority government for the center-right Democratic Alliance, which will be at the mercy of opposition parties. The significant rise in support for the hard-right populist party Chega adds more uncertainty. So there again, another hard-right challenge. And in this case, it was not a party from the center or the left, well, not that one, but a party to the right that's not as hard right was kept to a minority and might have difficulty governing from the right. The Democratic Alliance, led by the Social Democratic Party, lost a vote of confidence in Parliament in March as opposition lawmakers teamed up against it, which triggered an election, and the election had been due in 2028. So, of course, third one in 3 years, went early. The confidence vote was sparked by a political storm around potential conflicts of interest in the business dealing of Prime Minister Luis Montenegro's family's law firm. Montenegro, who is poised to become Prime Minister again, has denied any wrongdoing. The Democratic Alliance captured at least 89 seats in the 230-seat National Assembly. Chega collected the same amount of seats as the center-left Socialists, 58, and could yet claim second place when 4 remaining seats decided by voters abroad are attributed in coming days. Chega competed in its first election just 6 years ago when it won one seat and has fed off disaffection with the more moderate traditional parties. Its success shook up the traditional balance of power in a trend already witnessed everywhere in Europe, with parties such as France's National Rally, the Brothers of Italy, and Alternative für Deutschland, which are now in the political mainstream. For the past 50 years, the Social Democrats and the center-left Socialist Party have alternated in power in Portugal. The Socialists, meanwhile, are without a leader after Pedro Nuno Santos said he was standing down following the party's worst results since 1987. And smaller parties got the other seats. Corruption scandals have dogged Portuguese politics in recent years, helping to fuel the rise of Chega. Chega owes much of its success to its demands for tighter immigration policy that have resonated with voters. Portugal has witnessed a steep rise in immigration. In 2018, there were fewer than 500,000 legal immigrants in the country, according to the government statistics. By earlier this year, there were more than 1.5 million, many of them Brazilians, Asians working in tourism and farming. Thousands more lack the proper documents to be in Portugal. A housing crisis is also a fired up debate. See, these things are not unique to Canada. House prices and rents have been soaring for the past 10 years, due in part to an influx of white-collar foreigners who have driven up prices. The problem is compounded by Portugal being one of Western Europe's poorest countries. The average monthly salary last year was around $1,340 before tax, according to the statistics agency. The government set minimum wage this year is $974 a month before tax. So there we go. Again, similar situation, immigration, price of housing, moderate governments being corrupt, fueling disaffection. And then people said, well, you know what? We're just tired. Burn it all down. Kick all the bumps out. Vote hard right. At least it will be a change. That's a bad situation to get into, and that's a warning sign to other political parties. Clean up your damn acts with regard to corruption and not delivering on promises and stuff like that. Because the more you keep on trying to play that game, the more you're feeding that wolf. Right? So, and that's a hope, again, that I have for Prime Minister Carney, since he said specifically and very famously that he's not looking to be something, that he's looking to do something. That's the type of attitude, hopefully, that if the things he does well and does with competence, and they do have the impact that he hopes he will, could reduce that amount of fervor for that type of really populist, burn it all to the ground political movement. But there's some work to done for if the regular parties think that they're just going to do their politics as usual and not clean themselves up, because they are going to drive voters into the arms of these types of parties. This is what we're noticing here. Right? So we have to, again, as voters, we need to be vigilant. We need to keep our eyes on those we elect, particularly if those you voted for are in power. It's double duty for you to keep your eyes on them and make sure that they are doing the right things the right way. And if they don't, you should be the first, even though they are your team, to call them out and say, if you keep on screwing up, deviating from the thing you said you were going to do for which I voted, I will not only not vote for you, I will make it my personal mission to ensure that everybody I know does not vote for you. Right? It's up to the players on the team to be the first to keep the team accountable. When you have that attitude, you don't need the other parties to keep you accountable. You're doing it in-house. And it's always easier to keep yourself accountable than have someone else do it for you, because you won't. It's always less painful to do it yourself. All right. So, but with these types of results, right in Portugal being kept a minority, like this, centrist, European, pro-EU minded people winning in Romania. We saw that in Australia, like this, the conservative being rejected, here being rejected. We're seeing happening in the United States, even though Trump's in power, he's having a lot of trouble getting his agenda through because there's still enough people in the Senate, at least, who want to keep their jobs, that they're willing to put some type of opposition of some kind, or at least make it a little harder for him. But we're out there. We are out there. We need to find each other. We need to be loud. We need to be vocal. We need to be visible. But we are out there, and there are more of us than there are of them. And if we can manage to work together across the full range of spectrum, we can get this done. I'm not Pollyannish, and I am hardwired for optimism, and I know it's a tough road ahead. I know it, because I'm not sugarcoating it. But it is possible, and we keep on seeing signs that it is possible. It can be done. So again, we should use this as fuel. All right. Kids and Cubs, I think I've talked enough today. Oh, yes. Yes, I saw that. Thank you, Kit Saucy. Thank you for mentioning it. Total other thing. Sesame Street has found a new home, Kits and Cubs. Oh, because I don't know if you knew, but United States government trying to make cuts to PBS and all that kind of stuff, and budgets and all that type of stuff, and people were wondering. So yeah, Sesame Street is leaving public broadcasting, and we were wondering who would pick it up, and it seems that Netflix has decided to pick up Sesame Street. So thank you, Netflix, for doing that. Listen, it's a great show, and I hope that it continues. But the Republicans tried to cancel Oscar and Kermit and Abby and Snuffy, and right, and Netflix decided to flip the big bird to that movement. So good. Keep on hearing quote some stupid tweet like, "Well, gee, I hope it doesn't go all woke now that it's on Netflix." It's like, dude, it's like Gordon and Susan, interracial couple, based on the storylines, because they showed a picture of there was a couple times there were weddings on Sesame Street. Gordon and Susan did not get married on Sesame Street, but there's like a photo of their wedding that was referenced in an episode once, and it seems that according to that, they would have gotten married in 1969. A black man and a white woman getting married in 1969, living together, and on Sesame Street. I hope Sesame Street doesn't go woke. Dude, have you ever watched the show? Sesame Street's has been woke for a while. Okay. I swear I don't know where these people they literally just say anything. It's really weird. All right. But yes, Sesame Street does have a new home. Woohoo! Sunny days. I love it. Every now and then, because even though I'm still in my 50s, I will tune in just to see what's going down in the hood. Check up. All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. Now, if you would like to make sure, kids and cubs, that you do not miss a single episode, especially if you're a busy Canadian who's on the go, making stuff happen, networking, doing democracy, taking care of your family, doing some public goods along the way, hey, don't worry. We're portable. We like to help. And we are available in podcast format. So, kits and cubs, if you would like to take us with you on a walk, on a jog, if you're cooking a meal and, just want to have us in your ears with our dulcet tones, giving you information and opinion and a little sass and fun, well, then you need to, first of all, thank the Ray Girl for sponsoring our pod page, podpage.com/the-true-north-eager-beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. Or if you happen to be watching right now, if you scan that QR code, it will bring you right there. And if you go there and click subscribe, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, zip right into your box we slide. No, right into your inbox, please. Anyway, but we will be there waiting for you when you are ready to click on us. And we are grateful when you do. Thank you so much. If you would like to help us in other ways, well, hey, Kits Elaine and Kit Cassie have a little suggestion for you, because there's a place called the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page. And that QR code that just appeared will bring you there if you scan that. Now, if you go there, you will join about 18,000 other people so far who have decided to join the best damn fam in all of podcasting on our YouTube page as subscribers. And we would love for you to join them. Yes, it boosts our numbers. It's a little self-serving, but we would love for you to join them because, well, we're always looking to grow our family. I can never have enough kids. So if you would like to, please do scan that. We would really appreciate it. And while you're there, if you happen to be watching, we have 3 buttons for you: like, share, and subscribe. Give them a little click. It helps us with the algorithm, and that makes us very happy. So thank you for all that you do to support us. We appreciate everything. Now, if you would like to support us in yet another way, kids and cubs, we do incur some financial costs to bring this show to you, and your help and support is very appreciated. Without it, we would not have been able to be doing this so long if we had to do it all out of pocket. So your help has been invaluable in keeping this initiative going. And if you would, you like what we have to say, and you would like to support us and encourage us to do more, a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where we fight the scourge that is dry beaver. This is a no dry beaver zone. So if you would like to do your part to keep your favorite beaver moist, well then, a little bit of coinage in the Emergency Hydration Fund tip jar will do the trick. No donation is too small, so please do not worry. We appreciate absolutely everything, and everything you do donate does go back into the show and to make it better for you. So we thank you for your help. Now, if you're not able to contribute financially, please don't worry about it. It's no big deal, right? The gifts of your attention and participation are the ones that matter to us because, I mean, if you're not there listening, what are we doing this for, right? You matter. So thank you for bringing that. And we love to hear from you. So please write to us. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address. And if you are making donations and are doing the Buy Canadian thing and want to avoid the CE Tech Bros, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is where you can send your donation. 100% Canadian transaction, and we get 100% of your donation. Win-win. But if you just want to talk to us, hey, that's the address. Let us know what you think about our subject. If you've got a subject that's on your mind, let us know about it. If you got a subject you want us to talk about, let us know about it. If you have a suggestion for a guest, again, let us know. And remember, we also have our Q&A episode that we're trying to put together. We need a lot more questions, so please send them in. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. If there's anything that you wanted to know about politics or your take on something, things that we do to put the show together, how it works behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff, please just ask the questions. When we have enough of them, we'll be able to put a show together for you. And we thank you for your participation on that front. All right, kids and cubs, I think that's all I got because democracy is something that you do. Remember, there is a Quebec Liberal leadership race going on, and you have to cast your votes between June 9th and the 14th, with the results coming on in July 14th. Also, kids and cubs, remember that the GoFundMe is on to try to raise money for a former Alberta Health Services Chief Executive Officer Athana Metsalopoulos, because basically the government of Daniel Smith is waging lawfare against her and has sit 2 law firms on her to try to keep her so tied up in costs and in paperwork and everything else that she cannot afford to bring the findings, her findings of alleged corruption, to any court to be looked at, and herself. Right now she's not. Right now she's going to court, not necessarily for this particular thing, but because she was improperly fired, and therefore she's going to get what is rightfully hers, as she should. But the main reason that they are doing this is to try to intimidate her into not taking these documents as far as they could go, because I am guessing that the people who are doing this to her are fearing that there could be legal consequences for them, and that the best defense is a good offense. So they are trying to litigate her into a submission, or bury her under not litigate, but bury her under legal work. So they're trying to raise $100,000. They've raised $91,965 so far, so they're at 92% of the goal. But if you could give a little help to that, you go to GoFundMe and look for Medicine Hat Grassroots Group for Integrity and Justice, and that's where you will be able to go. Hopefully, at some point, we'll be able to have economist Dave Gray from Alberta on our show very soon. We're trying to pick up time to do an interview with him because not only is he an economist, but he's part of a group that's called Alberta Resistance, and they are leading activities. And he wants to get the message about what it is that's going on there and how people can get involved out to a greater audience. So hopefully we will have the Beaver Lodge's favorite foul-mouthed economist back on our show very soon. And not only foul-mouthed, but rock guitar playing as well. So there you go. Man of many talents, Mr. Gray is. But yes, he will definitely come on the show to correct, as he calls it, our Laurentian elocution. I love that, man. He makes me laugh. He cracks me up. All right. So that's the democracy, something that you do portion, words of wisdom. As I just mentioned, kids and cubs, sometimes there are things that only time can do, and you just have to surrender to the fact that it's going to take time. If you can't choose how much time it takes, you can choose your attitude going into it. I'm trying to get better at that. But it is true, you can. And so those are my words of wisdom. It's like, when you can't choose the outcome, choose your attitude. And just remember, sometimes you just got to be patient. It's just life. All right. From the Beaver Lodge, kids and cubs, it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now, kids and cubs, it is time for audience participation. So on the count of 3, I need to hear you ask me to cue the cock. All right. Let me get this headphone out there. Make sure I hear you all the way out there. 1, 2, 3. Let me hear it. Oh, such sweet, sweet, sweet music. How can I resist? How can I resist? I live to serve. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, kids and cubs, before we go, a little bit of Canadians who make us proud because, hey, it's always a good time to talk about them. French Open qualification tournament is going on, kids and cubs. And I think that we might have a record number of women. Yay, sisters, go for it. In the qualification draw, no fewer than 6 might be a record for Canada. Yesterday, again, because Canada is the country where women are strong and the men are pretty, the women went 3-4-3 into the second round of qualifications. There's 3 rounds for the main draw. So, but you had Bianca Andreescu. You had, oh darn, name escaping me all of a sudden. That's so terrible. I'm so sorry. Marina Stakusic, of course, making it through. And I believe Kayla Cross was the other person. No, not Kayla Cross. Today, Rebecca Marino was playing. Unfortunately, she lost. She's in a bit of a slump lately. Victoria Mboko, who we've been talking about a lot, who also was a semi-finalist in Parma, just a couple of days ago, and has risen to now 122nd in the world, won her first round match. So she's going to the second round, and Kayla Cross, in her first ever, I believe, Grand Slam qualification draw match, will be playing later today. For the men, we had two Canadians, Alexis Galarneau, who's been a bit in a slump, and he did lose, and Liam Drexel today also played. It was his first time in a qualification draw for Grand Slam, and he lost as well. So no men will emerge from the qualification rounds for the main draw for the Australian Open, but at present, of the women that we have in the draw, 4 of the 6 have advanced, with one yet left to play. So that's a pretty good conversion rate. Let's put it that way. So congratulations to them. Also in the world of tennis, if we are chatting a bit, as we mentioned, Mboko reached the final at the final at the tournament of Parma, not semifinal, to rise to 122nd in the world. A young man named Kwang King-ju earned a spot into a tournament through qualifications and went on to win the event in Orlando as a qualifier. For it's his first tournament in 2025 and only his 8th tournament ever on the tour, and has already won. The victory has him entering the world's top 1,000 at 983. So a new name to keep an eye on. Winning a tournament in only your 8th tournament might be a prodigy. Who knows? Nicolas Arsenault and Dan Martin won a doubles tournament as well, and that's good for them. They're still mid-tier players. There's another gentleman named Juan Carlos Manuel Aguilar who won a tournament in Jalapa, Mexico, and in doubles, and another one, Arsenault. There's a lot of Arsenauts out there, women and men, and I believe they're all related. But Michael and Nicolas both play, and his partner. So Nicolas Arsenault played with Dan Martin in one tournament in one place, and Michael Arsenault played in another tournament in another place. And in this one, he was the finalist. So at this tournament in Jalapa, we had a Canadian on each side of the net in the finals. So that's kind of cool. And at that tournament, Aguilar was also a semi-finalist in the singles. So his ranking is in singles is at 426, and his double win brings him at 222. So Aguilar is quickly becoming another one of those up-and-comers who, in the space of 1 or 2 years, have managed to go from nowhere to being ranked in the top 500 in the world in singles, and close to entering the top 200 in doubles. So very fast progression. Again, I do not know what they are putting in the water at Tennis Canada to do that, but the development of these athletes is there's just more and more of them, and more of them are just coming up and rising through the ranks way quickly. It's not like 6, 7, 8 years for them to get up to the top. It's happening like in 2 or 3 years. They're just shooting up the ranks. So again, other sports federations really tap into Tennis Canada, find out what they're doing, because they're doing something right. Also, if you're a hockey fan, the teams that are going to be competing for the Memorial Cup, which is the Junior National Hockey Championship, have all been decided. The Moncton Wildcats were the last to qualify by winning their match in the QMJHL. That's Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. The London Knights won the Ontario Hockey League title, and the Medicine Hat Tigers won the Western Hockey League title. So them 3 will be going to Rimouski, Quebec, where the Rimouski Océanique will be the 4th team as the host team invited to the tournament, which will take place from May 22nd to June 1st. So for the hockey fans, that's there. And finally, for more hockey fans, Team Canada, unfortunately, heartbreaker of a loss at the IHF World Hockey Tournament to Finland, losing 2-1 in overtime. I believe was a shootout, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong about that. But it did lose in overtime. The Team Canada did pick up a point there, but they have one match to go in that robin, and it will be against Sweden, who is currently atop of the pool that they're in. But Team Canada is qualified for the next round, and that match against Sweden will go at 2:20 today Eastern time for those who are interested in cheering Team Canada on. But yes, they have already qualified for the next round. It's just whether or not they will finish first in their pool. If they defeat Sweden, there's a good chance that they will be. Well, if they defeat Sweden, they will be. If they if they tie, I don't know how it's gonna. Well, if they tie, they will not be. So they absolutely have to win. There you go, to be at the top of the pool. But yeah, a little bit of a heartbreaking loss to Finland there in that match. Uh, Hard fought, but yes, but yes, it was on penalty shots. Finland won on penalty shots. So there you go. I think that's literally all the hockey, all the tennis. Oh, yes, PWHL women's playoffs. The finals start tonight. Ottawa Charge versus the Minnesota Frost. Minnesota Frost looking to defend their Calder Trophy, Calder Memorial Trophy, I believe it is, championship, and repeat as champions. Ottawa Charge in their first ever postseason in the PWHL, looking to take it all, being the fourth place team to qualify, to score the big upset and win. So we know which team I'm partial to, but I'm just happy that there's a league of their own and that they're getting to play. All right. That's all I got for you, kids and cubs. I'm off to elevate my leg. Wish me well. Sorry I couldn't be here with you yesterday to celebrate my birthday. I know that a lot of you had wonderful wishes. I did get them. Thank you very much. But fret not, because your beaver loves a good party. So when we do our next pubcast, whenever that is, we'll make it a beaver birthday bash. It will be belated, but I'm sure it will be just as fun and everything will be just as sincere. So thank you for all the love on my birthday. Thank you for all the love and the healing vibes for my foot. Thank you for the positive words, because, as you said, I wasn't taking it very well, but I saw your comments and your nice words, and they did help a lot. As you can tell, my mood is much brighter now than it was at the start of the show. And again, that's you guys. You do that for me. So thank you. Very, very grateful. Love you. Bisous. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a most beaverific day. All right.